Doop boop doo doop boop doo doo boop boop doo doop boop doo 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 boop doo doop boop doo doo boop doo 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 boop boop beep
Doop,
doop
doop,
doo doop boop doo 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 doo
doop,
doo
doop.
doo 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 doo. You thought I was done, but I was not. Doop doo 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 boo doo 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 doo.
All right. Hold on. I gotta give that a standing ovation.
Oh, come on.
There we go.
That was a little
Don't
late
do
for
that
the
now.
ovation.
Anyways, welcome to Hit or Miss. I am Night Strike, and I've got a bunch of panelists here tonight, so I'm going to introduce them. Foos, what's going on?
I'm just here for the bribe money.
Right, you're here for your fight money.
Bribe money.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
Foos, the check's in the mail. You can ask
Okay.
Night Strike how well that works out.
Yeah,
I'll
if it's from
expect it a
Smeggy,
week from never.
if it's from Smeggy, do not hold your breath. Literally.
Well, really,
don't worry,
you should
I won't
hold
hold
your
your
breath
breath for
for
anybody.
most things, unless it's going to happen like within a minute. Because after a couple minutes, you're in trouble.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. Anyways, Nathan, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was just asking someone if they had pee today. Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Hey,
Thanks
what?
for having me. We're off air.
We're actually
No,
on
we're
air.
not.
I'm using the other program.
Sorry. I just
Night
looked up
Strike
something
is
about-
freaking
Anyway,
doing one of
thanks
these
for having me.
sneaky, hidden chats again.
I'm doing one of the G Web's special hidden chats. You know, crouching gun hidden chat. And
I'm new to
Smeggy,
this style.
yeah, Smeggy, what's going on?
Oh, same old, same old. Nothing exciting. Hey guys, check out Early Watch and the Daily Gun Show and gear websites and gunchannels.com if you're not on it already. I don't know why I'm talking to you because I'm seriously shaming YouTube hard. Get on gunchannels.com. Check it out. Be awesome. I got all my plugs in now, I think. Oh, and Sheepdog Leather. That's a thing.
Yeah, check out
Dot-
sheepdogleather.com.
.com.
All right.
I'm off my promotion game.
And last but certainly not least, Travis, what's going on?
Hey man, just living the dream, living the dream. You can find me over on YouTube on Travis P11, Travis P11, and Ordinary Average Guy Gun Channel on gunchannels.com. Loving it.
All right. Well,
Cool.
That's certainly something. And if you haven't seen Travis's video on the 338 Nerf Pua, watch it. It is a hilarious watch.
Thank you. I think we cracked 100 views last week, so I'm very excited.
Yes.
We have not gone viral yet. Yeah.
No.
Wow. That one totally deserves about 15 more likes.
There we go.
does.
I mean 15 more views, that's about it.
Much appreciated, man. Did you see this, guys? In the Cabela's catalog, they have the Mod 2 version that's just came out, or the new Cabela's ad that just came out in the mail. They have a muzzle brake on it now and a sporter stock. I might just have to pick one up and do another review.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And
338
not only
Nerf Pua
that,
sporter.
You're going to have to compare it to the original.
I will. We'll do some accuracy testing. We'll run through a chrono. I'm sure it can go at least 25 feet per second.
And remember,
20
you're
feet per second.
going to have to check the trigger pull on this new one.
I know. I didn't get the pound weight on it, so it's a not so smooth, like probably 5.5 pounds. I'm guessing. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely cannot be staged. It's
Yeah.
it's a G2. It's a G2. So yeah.
All right. And we got a latecomer here. Sean, what's going on?
I was finishing up Vikings.
And yes, we know you're just here for the fish and the shrimp.
Yes.
Wait, there's shrimp?
All right, so we got a
Really?
couple topics we're going to talk about tonight, but Travis had a question, and I told him to save it for hit or miss. So, Travis, go ahead with your question.
Rate a twist with a pistol. Obviously, manufacturers are going to choose the best one that's going to give you the most flexibility. But is that something you really need to consider when you're buying a pistol? And should that influence maybe your grain weight for ammo choice?
Faster twist
I know-
tends to work with better or heavier bullets, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
115
yes.
versus 127 and a 9, or yeah.
Well, the thing is this: it's really not the weight of the bullet with the twist; it's the length. The reason people go by, this twist for this weight of a bullet is because usually the heavier bullet, the longer the bullet is.
Right, so it has to ride through the rifling longer.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's more contact surface, but in pistols, I know that the first generation of M&P 9 long slides, their competition style, they had a 1 in 18 twist barrel for the first couple of years, and then they swapped that back to the 1 in 10 for 9mm. And 1 in 10 is 9mm, is 9mm, 9mm, 9mm. I mean, that's basically what you want for 9mm. But the first generation was 1 in 18, and accuracy issues was crazy because it couldn't stabilize a projectile.
All right.
And that's all.
So, can you guys refresh my memory on this again? For a longer bullet, do you want more? You want it spinning more times or less times?
More.
Okay, so that's why 1 in 7. I'm going AR just because that's what I'm familiar with. 1 in 7 is for the heavy bullets, and then 1 in 9 is for like the 55.
No, the other way around.
Well, no. Yeah, he had it right. I mean, the one in the 55 grain bullet will stabilize in 1.7 or 1.9, but let's say you go down to a 40 grain or something like that, you could get a 1 in 12.
Yeah,
We're working backwards
like
now.
and having a light bullet spun extra fast is okay. It just doesn't do much. So with especially with long range precision shooting, depending on the weight and size of your bullet, they'll have specifications as to, okay, this twist for this heavy of a bullet and beyond, and they'll say that.
And Sean is saying that we're
usually
it backwards, but 1 in 7 would be like the most
a faster
twist. Yeah, it's faster twist.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Right.
I got it backwards.
Yes. Just like 308, if you want to start shooting the 178s, 180s, 200s, you want a 1 in 10, whereas if all you're going to shoot is 150 grain, which is usually a little shorter projectile, you could get away with a 1 in 12, not a problem. So usually a heavier, i.e. longer the projectile, you want a faster twist rate.
So
But
do
out
y'all,
of pistols, it's probably not going to matter.
so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the twist rate is 1 turn per whatever it is. So if it's a 1 in 7, it's 1 twist for 7 inches, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
So that's why the 1 in 12, it'd be 1 twist for 12 inches. So that's why it's a
Correct.
slower twist rate. But back to pistols, then I've
Yeah.
honestly never even seen what twist rate my pistol is or anything. I've never considered it when buying ammo. So that's an interesting question. I didn't know if it really affected it or not.
The reason,
Pistols,
because
there's
it's a
usually not as many
9mm,
weights to choose from either. Like a 9.
that and the length. If you look at a length of a 115 grain bullet, and whenever I'm talking about length, I'm talking about bearing on the rifle.
Right, just the projectile surface area.
Right. So if you look at that versus a 147, it's not that much difference. It's not like going from 115 grain 6mm to 150 grain 6mm because it's such a small diameter. So the bigger the diameter of the bullet, the less the
Less
twist
bearing
rate will
surface
affect
per
it
weight.
because you have correct. So the bigger bore you have, a lot of times you won't have options. And like with 9mm, almost everything's 1 in 10. I'm not sure what 40 and 45 are.
You know
But
the
I know
Italian-
9mm is 1 in 10. What?
My Beretta is 1 in 9.8. It's
So,
like they had
yeah,
to be
it's
different.
right around the 1 in 10.
Yeah.
And that's the reason is that Beretta was probably made for 124 grain projectile NATO.
Yeah, that extra .2 is really helping you out, huh?
Well, I bet what it is every manufacturer is trying to get their own unique spin, pun intended, on it. Because they've all figured 1 in 10 is probably about the best well-rounded average for a 9.
Well, I'm just wondering, what about for like defensive stuff? Because normally the defensive rounds are heavier, and you're saying they're probably not that much longer, but they might be a little bit. And
They're not
also,
always
would it
heavier.
affect because there's normally like shorter barrels, so you're not getting that much twist anyways? So would you maybe have like a little bit faster twist rate so you actually, get a whole spin? Because think about a 1 in 10 twist in a
Hold on.
5-inch barrel, you're getting half a turn. Like it's
Right.
not even doing a full rotation in the barrel.
Yeah, but I want to say this is what happens when the powder explodes. The bullet pushes out of the case until it engages with the rifling and it starts to be shoved into it, and then it stops, and there's a giant pressure build that then squeezes the bullet down, and it starts to go into the rifling, and it'll twist at whatever rate that is right off the bat. It begins the spin within the first half an inch or less. Like as it goes into the rifling, it begins the spin.
Quarter of an inch.
Yeah, it begins to spin
Yeah,
as
but-
rifling, and because it's being condensed down.
Actually, there's more surface tension between the projectile and the rifling than the projectile and brass. So it will actually start spinning inside your brass.
If it hasn't left
before
it
the,
yet.
before the end of it exits, yeah, it will.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the deal is it's not the, how do I say, the length of the barrel that gets the bullet spinning at that correct twist rate. It's going to spin at that. It's just the longer the barrel, it's a combination of stabilization and allowing the pressure wave to build with the powder gas expansion, with the gas expansion.
Barrel length's just for velocity at that point.
Yeah,
Because it's
it
just
helps
the
with
angle of the
velocity with the push to the bullet. So if you have a 9mm and you shoot out of a 3-inch versus let's say a 5-inch barrel, better velocity out of the 5-inch. But again, you can adjust powders to give you the effect over the distance you want. So for instance, I shoot a 7 mag, and to get the best effect out of a 7 mag with such a large powder case and a small projectile, you pretty much have to go out to 26 inches. Whereas a bullet that is, like a 308, you can get full speed expansion out of 22-inch barrel because just to the difference of the gas pressure burn.
Well, you told them live. You might as well hit the button.
No, we are live.
We are live.
Huh?
Yeah, they're live. I found out about it too.
Oh, you mean
They're
you're just
showing
doing
it
it the
through
other way?
something else or something. I don't know.
All right, so we have a couple other topics to talk about tonight. If that has answered your question, Travis.
So,
Yeah, it does.
So
It does. I'm curious. Yeah.
So I just looked it up for a 1911 or 45 ACP. It's a 1 in 16 twist rate.
Yeah, the heavier, slower moving projectiles require less twist rate. The faster you shoot, typically the faster the twist rate you want, the faster you shoot. Now, there is one caveat with a rifle, typically, is you can actually, like if you take an M6, just an AR-15, and you put a 1x6 twist into it and load fast-moving 55 grainers, it'll spin so fast it'll make the bullet fly apart.
Like so, in the going back to that with the bullet flying apart, the projectiles I make with the 22 brass case, if I send them at about 3,400 feet per second, 3,300 feet per second out of a 1 and 7 twist, it will kind of like act like a shotgun. The brass will just disintegrate.
The brass will separate from the lead core that it is jacketed to, so the bond will fail between the lead core and the jacket, and your brass will just.
Yep.
You're talking about the teething issues of the Carcano rifle.
Yeah.
That was a problem they ran into.
Absolutely. It was, it was blown up. It was spinning. They were spinning it way too fast,
Like shredding out of the
so they
barrel.
had to change the twist rate. Right. So their issue is instead of going to slowing down the twist rate, they went to a progressive twist. So starting out, right at the throat, it may be a 1 in 16, but by the time it got to the end of the barrel, it was like a 1 in 12 or something like that.
Hold on, you're telling me they did a progressive twist increase down a rifled barrel?
Yeah.
They thought it was a state secret too.
That must have taken a really good machine to cut that. Wow. I guess it would have to be drilled through the existing rifling to have the spin go down the barrel. So a button pull twist probably wouldn't work.
Yeah. The reason that they did it was to help with the bullet, and it was to save the life of the barrel because they're burning them out.
Well,
It started at
I
1
wasn't
to
quite
19, and it
why they
ended
did
at
it. I
1
was
to 8.
just wondering how they did it because I've never heard of a barrel that had a twist that increased as it went down the
Hammer forged is the only way I could think of it if it's a hammer forged, because you don't have any rifling until you start forging it.
No barrel really has rifling until after the barrel's made and they put the rifling into it, though.
Could they vary the speed that the barrel would be rotating at as they were carving the rifling into it, but keep the actual piece that carves the rifling into the inside of the barrel like moving at a certain rate up and down, like it doesn't increase or decrease, but the speed would increase? I don't know.
It's okay. So I can tell you this, that like I buy Schillen rifle barrels, and they're called button pulled, which means basically a rod
Yeah.
with the rifling is pulled down the length of the barrel as a machine twists it as it goes down the length of the barrel. It's called button pulled, and that's the way a lot of people do it. Now there's other ones where they kind of drill the rifling, down as it goes, and there's the button pull method. So all you'd have to do is either you have a fixed and you spin the barrel at a different twist rate as you go down with the machine, or you spin the thing you pull. But to change it repeatedly, would probably mean you'd have to have some type of computer or some type of gear adjustment ratio as you draw it down.
Well, being that they didn't have computers in 1890s, they had to probably do it with some sort of progressive gearing on a lathe.
Yeah, it had to have been gears as brought it down.
It's called a game twist.
Because it went from 1 to 18 all the way down to 1 to 9. So, I mean, that's pretty substantial. They probably just changed the feed speed when they ran the barrel in there.
Yeah, never know. So.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, if you go to Schillen's website, which I'm sorry, I'm not promoting them or anything. I've just got a bunch of barrels from them. But the nice thing is they got a page on their website where they actually have a list of calibers like 7mm, 30 caliber, and all this, and it says for this bullet weight you need this twist rate, and this this twist rate for this bullet rate. So it actually has basically a probably 30-year-old explanation of if you want to shoot this weight bullet in 22 caliber, it has to be a 77 grainer to go through a 1 in 7 twist. Like 1 in 7 twist is for 77 grain and up. But you can shoot less than that. But if you shoot a 77 grain bullet down a 1 in 12 twist or a 1 in 10 twist, it's not going to work very well. So the rule is you can't over twist a bullet until the bullet rips itself apart. That's the rule of thumb.
Okay. Have we killed the bullet yet? Or have we bit the bullet yet?
Is there? Do we need a new topic?
Well, me and Smeggy did want to go over some other topics. So can we lay the bullet topic to rest yet? Or
I'm afraid not. This is twist rate hit or miss.
I think we solved it.
Hit or twist?
No, no. Your twist rate determines whether you got a hit or miss.
No, I think this is more like twist or shout.
Oh, Night Strike, don't get twisted. What's the next topic?
Smeggy, we were talking about this earlier before the chat. What was that topic you wanted to talk about?
Okay. Yeah, I linked it over on Gun Channels. I'll redo it here in case people just joined. But basically, in Ohio, they're revisiting like their campus carry rules, and that's part of it. Like this article's talking about, it's like after the attack or whatever, they're thinking of redoing their gun-free zones, basically. Let me just see here real quick. So basically, the Ohio legislature may pass a bill reducing the penalty for carrying a gun on campus. So House Bill 48 reduces the penalty for bringing a gun on campus grounds from a felony to a misdemeanor, and would allow universities to make their own policies regarding concealed handguns on campus. So it's still not necessarily getting rid of the gun-free zone, just if you end up like getting caught with a gun, it's just a misdemeanor, which means you probably don't lose your gun rights and stuff. Whereas before it was a felony, and then you wouldn't be able to have guns anymore. Like that's a pretty big penalty. And so the legislation it passed the Ohio House last year in a 68-29 vote, and it was already scheduled to be considered on Wednesday. And the entire Senate chamber may take a vote on the bill this week. So it's already like past halfway through. The committee's considering it tomorrow, and then it might go out to like a full vote. And if it gets passed, it will go up to the governor. But I don't know. I think that's good. I'd like to see him just, get rid of the gun-free zone, or the, what do you want to call it, right? The victim zone, or the criminal, what the heck they call that? Something or other, whatever.
The target zone?
Criminal entitlement zone, or, whatever.
Wait.
Like,
can I say it?
You can say whatever you want. I'm not your boss.
The danger zone.
I went through the danger zone.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me, but I had to say it.
I'm sorry you're going to get a copyright strike now because I did that so perfectly that no one can tell the difference.
And then when we had, you
said it just like Kenny Loggins when I walked
the highway through the danger zone.
Details.
Smeggy, you can be my wingman any day. No, you can be mine.
All right. That's enough.
It doesn't matter. They're both going to be at a gay bar. So.
I want Smeggy to be my goose so I can put him into the canopy.
Oh,
Nice.
bastard.
All right.
Nah, dude, I'm more like Iceman because I think the best intimidation thing ever is clicking your teeth at someone, because that's like so scary.
That's right. Night Strike is cougar. He gets washed out.
Thanks.
But anyways, okay, hang on. So, what do you guys think about campus carry, either in general or with this Ohio thing? I mean, it sounds like good news, and the fact that it passed the other one, what is it, 68-20 something or whatever, like that means it's probably got some pretty good steam. I don't know what Ohio's house looks like as far as pro-gun versus anti-gun.
It's still a misdemeanor. It's still a misdemeanor, though. That's what I don't. I mean, I wish it wasn't a misdemeanor. I wish I would just say, okay, get it off the books.
Right. No, I agree with that. But at the same time, I think even every baby step towards more freedom is good. And yeah, we can wish for more. But that's at least the step in the right direction. And maybe after a while of going, oh, look, we got all these people that are carrying because it's only a misdemeanor now, so they don't care if they like get in trouble for it or whatever. And nothing bad has happened. So therefore,
unless they go, oh, it's a misdemeanor, so all these people are carrying it and it's against the law, so we need to up the law to make sure that they don't, so that they get put behind jail since they're doing something illegal. It's two ways you can think about it.
That's possible, but
I hope they don't think of it that way, but they may.
I kind of hope that this campus carry thing doesn't just become state to state. I really hope it happens all over the country because
it needs to go national.
It does. It needs to. I hate to say it. I don't really want the federal government to do laws like this, but at the same time I do because, I realize that they could go and do something later on to take it away, but at the same time, if not every state can agree on something, and that's the problem.
I really wish that they would change the laws so you could carry anywhere except courthouses. Courtrooms.
Yeah, I have to say that we should be able to carry anywhere we want to, except barring places where there is constant armed security with metal detectors. Courtrooms, the actual terminal part of the airport, even at Six Flags, they run me through a metal detector. So anywhere there isn't a metal detector and an armed security force, I don't think we should be blocked from carrying in there. If you're not going to provide me with armed security and metal detectors to make sure no one gets in with a gun, I don't want to go in there without my gun.
Same here.
And the fact that, like, I was talking to a guy today who he was military, and just the fact that we don't have carry on military bases in this country when everyone on a military base is trained to use a weapon, is issued a weapon, and in a war zone has a weapon. It's just ridiculous. Now, granted, if you come back and have post-traumatic stress syndrome, then maybe you shouldn't. But, just officers and NCOs that are not put on some type of, like, observation from coming back from combat, they should all carry.
Right, and I think that was the other bill in Ohio. It had something to do with military. Pink said it, and I forgot what the number was, and I couldn't find it easily. So I did kind of search, but I think there was something about the military as well. So basically, Ohio is increasing the places that you can carry, potentially.
The question, isn't that up, if I'm correct, it was like Clinton or Bush said that you can't carry on bases. So if Trump gets in there...
He was a president who passed it down to the DOD.
Right.
The DOD can call it off.
Yeah. And so, and I think that Trump did say something about him doing that.
Well, I want to know how bad our military got off by not having the soldiers armed, because I remember my grandparents and my grandfather, one of my dad's father's grandfather, he was in the Korean War, and when he was on base, they had guns on them all the time.
Oh yeah, it was only, I thought it was in like the 90s or something when they changed it. Like it's very recent that they've done that.
And my uncle was in Desert Storm, and he was in the army until the mid 90s, and he said that he always had his sidearm with him at all times.
And granted, let's think about this. Back in Vietnam, the guys in basic, they slept with their guns, but they weren't allowed to have ammunition.
Steve was
but
in Desert Storm.
Pretty much, for a great deal of the military, always the sergeants, always the officers had sidearms on them. And if they're in a war zone, everyone had rifles at the ready. So, I mean, even back here on U.S. military bases, let all the officers carry and let all the NCOs over, drill sergeants and up. carry a sidearm. I mean, if they, like either have them carry the issued one, or at least just allow them to carry the concealed carry if they're licensed to do so in their state. But I think on a military base, you should just carry one, period, just for security. I mean, you remember back in the Cold War, we were always worried that some Ruskie was going to sneak onto one of our military bases and get in the building,
And there was always armed guards then.
Well, and so there was always armed guards then. Then the Cold War ended, and then comes along my buddy who was in the Marines back in the early 90s, right after Desert Storm in like 94, 95, 96. And he said he used to be on guard duty, would patrol on guard duty with an M4 with an empty magazine in it. He'd carry M4, but he didn't have any ammunition issued to him, and he couldn't carry any ammunition.
And they negotiated an international exchange through HSBC.
That's crazy.
With a
That's sad. That's worse than mall cops. You're carrying an M4 that's empty just to look intimidating.
And no handy.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. And
And
I think to clarify that the Ohio thing, it wasn't, I guess it's not necessarily on base or whatever, but it was something about like military people like can carry without having to get a permit or something.
That's cool.
I just wanted to clarify that. I'm sorry for not knowing exactly what I was talking about, but when do I ever know what I'm talking about? So that's just normal.
Well, I mean, it is one good thing that, like, in the state of Texas, we have carry licenses, and if you were in the military, you don't have to be 21. You can be 18 and get a carry license in the military.
That's good. That's helping out a little bit at least. Though I can see how someone could try and abuse that, but
the whole
I
thing
know
between
I
18
for a soldier who was 19 the other day to get a CHL. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the whole thing between like 18 and 21, like I don't know, is that a worthwhile fight to be like, hey, listen, if people are 18 and they're adults, they can vote, they can join the military, they can like do a lot of other stuff. Why can't they carry a gun until they're 21? Are you saying like they're not responsible enough until an extra couple of years?
That's the same argument for people who say you can die for your country, but you can't have a beer.
They've been signing up.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the drinking age should be 18 also.
And I got.
I mean, the way I look at it, either you're an adult or you're not. Just like you can't rent a car to a 25. What the heck, man? Either I'm an adult or I'm not.
Wait, Sean, did Castro's hearse break down?
I don't know. Someone sent me that today. I just thought you'd find it.
Yeah, they were pushing it down the street. They were showing video footage of it this morning.
Serves him right.
I feel sorry for the mechanic, man.
I don't.
Oh.
He's gonna get shot regardless.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's just how they are down there. Anyways, but yeah, I think it's crazy. Some of the guys are they're not complaining, but they're commenting. An empty gun looks threatening, and on the YouTube side, and I'm inclined to agree. An empty gun does not look threatening, even if the magazine is empty. It's more like you've got a shell, but you've got nothing in it.
But it's the looks though. So I mean, yeah, if someone's carrying an M4 with a magazine in it,
you're gonna second guess.
Yeah,
him.
you're gonna think the guy has an M4. You know what I mean? Like from the military's point of view or whatever.
Hold on. So think about this. My buddy, he was in the Marines. He had the M4 with no ammo, and he had a magazine in, but no ammo anywhere on him. Weren't any live ammunition on them. They just walked around looking like they had real guns. And this is in California, of course. And
he said
what?
what he said was
In a minute. Oh, sorry.
Logan, get in your bed.
So anyway, anyone who was going to attack, which I guess at that point in their mentality was only people off the base would try to attack. So if we have people walking around with guns that they think are loaded, they won't attack. But then on the flip side, if someone knows they're walking around with guns and is going to attack, then if they do attack, they're going up against someone who has no ammunition to fire back.
But if it was in the Marines and it was in California, what the hell? I expect things from California, but I don't expect that.
Well, whoever the commander was in the Marine base did that, and which was funny because he went out jogging and they threw him on the ground because he didn't have identification. So it was a funny story my friend Matt told me. But he kind of got held up and tried to argue officer, no ID, nothing, and going jogging into a secured zone where the guys didn't have ammunition. So, of course, they had to physically throw him on the ground.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing. He knew that they wouldn't shoot him. So,
yeah, he thought he was good until they threw him on the ground. They were hosed later. I'll be back.
Oh. But anyways, yeah, that's just always been one of my pet peeves of, the 18 to 21 thing when it comes to guns. Because it's like, oh, you're responsible enough to, to buy a long gun, but you can't buy a pistol or this. It's like either you're a good guy or you're a bad guy. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. There are people at 18 that are more responsible than some 50-year-olds, So it's like you can be judged. I think there's something to be said. You can judge someone by their previous actions. The problem is trying to predict what they're going to do in the future. That's tricky. But if you've demonstrated in the past that you're not a responsible person, then I'm okay with losing your rights or whatever, because you've proven that you can't be trusted with them. And maybe a way to get them back. That's fine. But this whole idea of like, well, you're 18, therefore you can't have a handgun or you can't have a carry permit or whatever, it just really bugs me.
Yeah.
Well, actually, now we're going to loop back around to the campus carry part of it, though.
Yeah, let's go.
That's another argument people will say about campus carry is that, college kids are, they're irresponsible, and if they had guns, they would do bad stuff and all that, which I think is dumb. That's a dumb argument. But the thing to keep in mind when you talk about carry permits, most places you have to be 21 to get one. So how many college kids are actually 21? Like, if you do the thing where, yeah, basically, juniors or seniors, if you go to high school and right to college, you basically graduate when you're 21. Now, there's plenty of people that take years off, or it takes them longer to get through. No problem. So, yes, there's obviously some people there. But it's this idea like, oh, well, it's gonna, like, everyone's gonna have all these guns in class or whatever. It's like there's probably gonna be like 2 people on campus that have one. It's like it's not like very many people have them anyways. And those people, it's been proven in the past, if you take the time to get the permit, you're the type of person that takes the time to follow all the rules anyways. So you're not a problem. You're not a threat.
You jump through all the hoops.
Absolutely.
Well, then that just leads to the next part of it. How come they're not allowing faculty to carry too then? Department heads or something,
Because
is there
they're
any
too
possibility?
goddamn-
Well, no, I
too
mean,
goddamn liberal, and they're scared of the side of it, or they'll
Well,
freak out.
it's because liberals are running colleges these days, and until we can get them out of the institutions, the children and the 18 to 20 crowd are still going to be brainwashed by these liberals.
But you also have to think, those who do, those who can't teach. So
Hey, now.
Well, I mean, I got teachers in the family, and I mean, I know a lot of professors that all they did was academia. They've never been out into the real world, so they've been kind of sheltered.
book smart, but not street smart.
In that environment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was really more referring to like public schools for teachers. Like they have these school shootings or whatnot, and there's nobody there to protect them except one school cop who usually gets that gig as a punishment. There was a big argument down here after the last school shooting that, we thought, hey, look, Texas is a good place to try this. Why don't we get district to send the department heads in, a select number of schools as a pilot program to, become firearms aware, or if they already are, then, they just take a qualification. And then it doesn't have to be every teacher in the hall, because usually department heads are one per hall already anyway. So that way, if anything goes down, there's somebody there to protect your kids.
Well, hold on.
You don't
hold
even
on.
have to say a department head or something like that. You just say, if you want to, you can.
Well, I mean, they had to
and
find some
let it
digestible
be
way to
totally
sell it.
random.
You know, it's like if you say that you gave it to
Oh,
a
okay.
responsibility, you can say, well, the department heads. If you want to give it to any and all teachers willing to do so, that's fine too.
But a teacher isn't responsible enough?
Well, I'm just saying
If they
that the
aren't,
department
they
head
shouldn't be
is
teaching your
responsible
children.
for other teachers of the same curriculum. You know what I mean? They're like
Hold on.
mini managers, I guess.
Okay, my wife is a school teacher. My mom is a school teacher.
Mhm.
And a lot of my friends are, school teachers, and husbands of school teachers. And I can tell you this, that, when 9/11 happened, after that, they passed a bill to where the pilots could carry guns. And the pilots then went through this training program, which I think they paid for. Maybe their airline subsidized it, but they had to pay like $1,700 or something. My uncle was a pilot at the time, and he didn't do it, but other pilots did. And then they could get the lockbox and carry the gun and everything. But the fact is that airline pilots are probably made up of a high percentage, maybe even 50% or less, but about 50% probably, I would think, of ex-Air Force pilots who are already military trained, military mentality and all that.
I would say that's much higher. Sorry.
Yeah, it may be higher, yeah. So you got these military individuals who are used to carrying guns on planes. They become civilian pilots. They can't carry guns, and then go through a course and then carry guns. Great. Woo! Now, here's the thing is teachers are typically not military except for the ones where the military, there's some deal where the military vets can go into these inner cities and stuff. But the vast majority of them are just, regular average Joes. So, for instance, here in the United States, I think it's 1 in 20 adults has a concealed carry license. So if you had a school, you would probably have 1 to 2 teachers that might have concealed carry license that then might choose to carry in school. And even then, unless they went through training and other specialized things, wouldn't be ready to be a go person in an event. I mean, we have to admit that military, law enforcement, armed security guards, and those people, and a few others in a hostile attack situation could respond.
Right, but these
It's a very
teachers
low
do
percentage of the
workshops all the
population.
time, to get boned up on whatever is coming next for their curriculum, right? They do these workshops, or sometimes they go to seminars or whatnot. And this is all supposed to be an optional thing. If you want to participate, we'll have a program. Put some of those fucking tax dollars at work. Let's get a program involved. Let's get somebody like a Jaeger or like a Masad Ayub to come teach these people who want to do this for public servants or whatever, and just say, look, we'll give you a familiarity course, and if you're already familiar with handguns or whatnot, we can just go ahead and kind of fast track you up to a proficiency test. Work it into the system, and
They have that. There's
to take it.
Yeah.
actually the Buckeye firearm
Yeah, I was about to say.
group or whatever the heck it's called, something like that. Buckeye Firearm Owners or whatever. They put together a school type training thing, and it has medical stuff. It's very specific to basically an active shooter in a school. And I want to disagree with Nathan when saying only militaries and cops and stuff can deal with this stuff. I'd completely disagree. Regular people can deal with it. They might not be perfect.
Hey guys, let me go on.
I'm not saying that regular people can't deal with this, that couldn't respond to an active shooter situation. I'm saying it takes a lot of training.
Sure. And we should, if that's something that is a considerable program, then that's something that should be an option, something that should be offered. Like they should do like a yearly, like camp type thing, a workshop or something for those who want to do it. And then, maybe there's even like a benefit to it. If you take that, then maybe you get like a little bit of a financial bonus or something because you're taking part in something like that, to be an
No, hold on. Actually, I can tell you, my wife almost every year goes from Dallas Fort Worth, a 6-mile drive down to South Texas, because she gets a grant to go and take her and 3 other teachers down to a special training class for a weekend to learn about science and stuff in an auditorium down there with this great, presentation and everything. So there are things out there like this. I mean, if you made it where it was a law and teachers who wanted to carry firearms could then put in for a bond and then go to this firearm training thing once a year and get certified, that's totally doable. I mean, they did it with the airlines. They can do it with teachers. Just costs money.
Well, and that's what I was trying to say. I don't know if I broke up too much, but that's what they are doing. That's the Ohio Buckeye or whatever. They set a thing, and they set up a thing, and they teach firearm stuff, but also medical stuff, and just different tactics for dealing with like a school event or whatever, like an active shooter or whatever.
Yeah, all I was trying to curtail in my earlier comment was a person responding at the scene to an active shooter situation. I just know from my experiences with playing airsoft and charging into a room with a pistol against people already waiting there, that a lot of times people just, that takes a lot of mental training to rush into that type of a scenario.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying that this is a possibility that can be raised, because I mean, Texas passed campus carry already for colleges and whatnot. So I mean, it's that's the first step. Texas is taking a lot of steps. They did licensed open carry. Abbott's plan was to get Texas to constitutional carry. He had it in 3 phases. The first phase was licensed open carry. Second phase, which may take place next year, is to waive the licensing fees completely.
Yes.
Which means you get CCW at no cost. Either that or what they probably do is you pay and then you get a rebate or something. But the whole point of that is by the time he goes to stage 3, he's going to say, "Hi, I'm your governor. I passed open carry. I wanted to show you that for the last 2.5 to 3 years that we've had this program. There's been a sharp increase in the number of CCWs that have been issued, and there's been a sharp decline in crime in these areas where these CCWs have been issued. And, I think that I can put together a good argument for constitutional carry to further advance this trend." And they'll say, "Well, what about all the money that you were generating making all these licensing fees?" And he'll say, "Oh, by the way, for the last 1.5 years, we haven't collected a dime. Your move." So I mean, he's got this all figured out, and campus carry was another little facet of that.
To take the money away first, and then go for universal.
Yeah, he wants to prove that the state didn't even need the money in the first place.
Which
he's one of those people who say that you shouldn't be taxed for your rights.
I'm sorry. How much is $200 from a person every 4 years?
His point is you shouldn't be taxed for your rights.
But I'm saying, how much money could the state of Texas be making off?
Not much, and that's going to help further his argument.
It's $50 per year per license carrier. In the state of Texas, there's 29 million people, and you're talking about, I don't know, what is it, 2.5 million or 5 million? I think it's 2.
Like that.
By the way, that brings up something. Master Flath, the other Canadian, the cooler one, the younger one, asked, since he's doing a lot of work in North Dakota and he's going to have to do some work in Texas, he's wondering if he can carry there. And as far as I know, Texas still isn't constitutional carry.
No.
Texas is only open carry with in-state permit,
with
right?
license.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have a handgun license, is what they call them now, right?
LTC, license to carry.
License to carry, yeah, that's what you need, and it comes out to about $50 a year, as we were saying.
So Bob and Flath would be in the same situation.
You're talking about $100 million in the state of Texas.
Well, in Bob's case, he has a CCW for Arizona, right?
Oh, and Bob's complaining about what now?
Bob has a CCW for Arizona, right? Like he could carry in Texas because we recognize Arizona's,
No, Arizona doesn't have CCWs, do they? They're universal.
or he has some state CCW.
No,
I remember he was talking
Arizona
about that.
still has. They do still have a permit if you want it. You just don't have to have
You're
it
not required
in
to have
order
it
to
anymore.
carry.
Well, they have constitutional carry, but you have to have what, licensed concealment or something like that.
No.
No.
No, anyone
No.
can, anyone can conceal there,
Universal carry.
but they also offer CCW.
Offer a license in case you go out of state.
Out of state, or I think if
Anyway.
you want to skip the background check and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Anyway, Bob probably just has some mail order U.S.
I remember he said he had one from at least like 1 or 2 states or something. But I mean, I'm pretty sure Texas's reciprocity would accept it, so he could come
Well,
here.
Well, there's always the method where if you can't carry an actual gun, you could look at carrying, maybe a cap and ball.
Yeah.
Because the ATF the ATF says that's not a firearm.
Carry a Lamont
Okay.
then.
Hold on. Okay, so if we're talking about elementary school, junior high, and high school carry, so what you do is you just allow it to happen with the registered states and everything, and then on top of that, if your school district doesn't want you to carry, just like my job where I work at a bank, I can't carry in the bank because I can't carry a weapon in the bank.
It's the
So
bank.
the school districts could make their own,
Carry laws.
thing with carry. You can be fired if we catch you. So again, that's why if we really want people on campus to carry at the grades kindergarten through 12, then we have to make it a law that they can carry, and we have to make rules for it. Otherwise, it's just left up to the state to decide, and then the school district as the employer to tell you if you can or can't as an employee.
Guys, I want to go and chime in at this point. I am actually a high school teacher. I have been for 16 years in a public high school.
Yes.
And yeah, I know. And I'm a licensed concealed carry holder. I'm an avid firearms enthusiast. I would happily accept a training if the district offered it. And I know there are other teachers in my building that would. Again, maybe because we're more of a rural area, we have a lot of guys that are ex-military, that are avid outdoorsmen. I have no doubt with enough training, I would feel capable of doing so. And I would not be afraid to put myself in between your kid and somebody that wants to do your kid harm, right? So, I mean, I just think it's going to be the attitude you're going to take in a life or death situation. I'm doing that job knowing that that's a possibility. I'm just saying that I would step up and do it. I would not be afraid to go through a training and go on from there,
Yeah, and someone mentioned on the YouTube side, we protect our money and jewelry with armed guards. Why aren't our children protected the same way?
Yeah, our school does have
you
an
can
armed,
make
it does
more
have
of
a police
those.
officer, but yeah.
Yeah,
You know how hard it is to dig up diamonds and gold and stuff? It's hard work. You can make kids super easy.
no, you can't.
Hold on, you can dig up kids super easy too. Sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, I guess I was just trying to say that there are teachers out there that would go through training if their district offered it. I mean, it's never a discussion I've had with my principal before, but it is something maybe that would be worth bringing up at a meeting.
Well, no, I totally agree with you because so many teachers just their hearts go out to the kids, and they'd rush into anything to protect them. They would rush into a bullet and stuff for those kids that they teach. But and again, if we want to have teachers armed, we need to offer them training as
Oh, I
part
agree
of
completely.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
lots and lots
Because-
of training and
because
refresher
we
training.
got two things. We got two things going on. We got one thing is the safety of the children as the bystanders, and then the ability of the teacher to take out the threat without hurting anyone else, which again is what we all assume cops can do. But come on, sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. But they always try. But teachers, because they're not qualifying, they're not on the streets every day like police are, and they're not in those situations that police are. It really takes kind of like you would want the teachers like you to go through James Yeager's fighting pistol class. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it should be. You volunteer, you go through fighting pistol, boom, you're ready to go. You certify a weekend every year with simunition, boom.
See, and they should pay teachers who go through all that and get licensed or they're carrying, in their schools or whatever. They should get them a bonus or something like that. It's like they're taking extended training or something. They're doing an extra elective task.
Sean, they'll never do that. They'll just give them a couple of days off and hire them a sub. That's the reward a teacher gets for going the extra mile, right?
Well, for me, the bonus is the thought that I can actually defend myself and my kids.
Right.
That's bonus enough, because that thought does cross my mind. What do I do? There's a threat in the building. We go through the training with what you do, but what can you do once the threat's in your immediate vicinity? So
Travis,
yeah.
Travis, when have you ever been given additional pay to go to training while on your regular dime, like the regular time of school?
No bonuses. It's just part of your salary.
Yeah, you go to the training and they hire the sub for you.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just
Although, let's
the way
be
the
fair,
salary set up and stuff.
Getting away from the rotten kids for a couple days is a pretty good bonus.
My kids are great.
If I had to be in a classroom or got to get shot by simunition and run through a room where people shoot at me, I'd take the latter.
We have solved carrying. That's another quarter to G.
I think we have.
Hang on. There was one more thing I wanted to mention on that. I got sidetracked with my lag issue. But it's real quick. One of the things that is good about allowing teachers to carry, or just anyone really, is that oh my God, what's that word? The deterrent. It is, I truly believe it is a deterrent to people who think like, oh, I'm going to go do this massive thing and I'll be awesome and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, wait, what if the first person I see like fights back? Because we all know these events end when someone fights back, just about every single time, whether it's the police or someone who happens to be there. It ends when they fight back. So it doesn't mean that every teacher has to have a gun. The idea, like, it could be no single teacher in the whole school decided to get the training, but they're not going to know that. So it might, get people not to do something bad, which is a good thing.
Okay.
Agreed, man. I agree.
All right. I want to talk about gun stuff real quick. Can I? Well, more gun stuff. Everyone's aware of the current Inland Company. They make the new M1 carbine. Trying to say it right. They make new M1 carbines. They just decided to go and release a T30. You remember the T30 prototype, or was the M3, which was an M1 carbine with a scope on it. And they also had the ridiculous muzzle device. I don't know if that was a flash hider or a suppressor or whatnot, but it's ridiculous. Let me link it right here, because I thought that was pretty cool. So, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're making these reproductions one. These are the ones they used in the late World War II, just when we started invading the Japanese homeland. So basically
that looks like a Loudner on the end of it.
They used that in Okinawa, and we did actually also use it in Korea in sparse quantities. Another picture of it is when it had the prototype infrared / night vision setup with it. And this is
that's super portable. That's awesome.
This is as far back as World War II and the Korean War. Figure that out. We've had that shit for that long. So, but it was prototype technology in that time period. But the fact that we had that on the M1 carbine was awesome. So,
holy cow! What is that thing? Hold on.
That's the night vision infrared setup for the M1 M3 carbine.
Oh, I like our night vision scopes a lot better without carrying that giant battery.
Well, they had to do it that back then because technology wasn't as sophisticated. Remember, they didn't have lithium-ion batteries or cell phones then.
I'm so lazy because I used to carry I used to go hog hunting with a 5-pound scope on top of my M4, and I got tired of
And you
carrying.
used to complain about it, right?
Right. But I just figured I'd mention this because I saw this in the news, and I wanted to share it because who doesn't like the M1 carbine? Come on.
What on earth is that round thing on the front?
That's
the light.
that's one of the lights.
That's a giant red infrared light.
I had chili beans.
You ate chili
Yeah.
tonight?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
had Chick-fil-A.
Germans had something like that too. It's gigantic.
Okay, now you go and do something else and let me talk.
Shh.
Here. He's got
Doesn't that look beautiful? That scope they put on that?
Watch TV.
That looks awesome.
I watch TV.
It's pretty streamlined. That's
No,
nice. That's,
no.
That
Go
looks
in your,
like
your room. You got a 40-inch.
Leopold scope mount. And, the base too.
Actually, they in the article they do mention this is on guns.com, by the way. They mention that it's in here what kind of scope they have. So let me look
I don't
for
know
it.
the scope. I just know the mount looks like a Leopold with the Leopold base.
Right. It's not saying, damn it. Oh, here it is with the Hilux M82 sniper scope. So apparently it is a reproduction scope as well.
Now, about this gun, have you guys ever owned the Inland? Because I've seen some fairly negative reviews about them online. Do they have some quality control issues, or is that just a few lemons that got out in the market? You guys ever own one of these from this company or not?
I have not, but they're the only company making them here in the
Yeah.
United States at the moment. So
Yeah.
I would say you're bound to get a couple lemons here and there, but I haven't heard of them being as bad as like IO Inc. or Century. So
I know we don't like to fall back on them, but I know Nut and Fancy had a ton of problems with his when he was testing it.
I honestly I
No.
don't care what he says, because one, I'm not going out in the desert on a scooter to go and do shooting. Two,
Well,
I'm
just
not
cross your
sure
own
why what Salt Lake City Police or some other jurisdiction like a sheriff's department hasn't pulled him over for carrying a rifle on his back with a scooter. What the hell? I'd pull that guy over.
But hold on, he's in a western state with lots of desert. They're not going to pull him over that. But did he have problems with his M82?
It was an Inland, but I can't remember what the particular model was exactly. But I mean, yeah, I know what you're saying about his channel. I'm just saying, just see somebody field testing the gun and have jam issues. That was the one thing that just raised concern.
Well, did he
Hold on,
lubricate
hold on,
it properly?
real quick. Let me just say this one thing.
Yeah.
So you're telling me Nut and Fancy has jam issues with an M1, but can make every Keltec work perfectly.
Oh no, he had
For
trouble
five.
with X too.
Just go check the video out. I mean, I know we're not. I'm not a big fan of his channel after what he
I'm
did
just
that
saying,
kid, but,
M1s,
yeah.
besides Nut and Fancy, M1s are pretty reliable.
I think it may have just been user error instead of the rifle itself.
He was Air Force. I don't think he knows how to clean a rifle.
No, chair force difference.
Oh,
You're right.
ah.
He drove a refueling bus, I believe.
Chair force.
Really?
And no, I'm not making fun of the Air Force. I know there's a lot of people in the Air Force, but
No, I meant the
seriously,
refueling bus thing.
Nut and Fancy drove one of those big planes that refuel fighters.
Oh, strato tanker. Okay.
Yeah.
anyways,
And,
so
and he talked about how he wished he had the fold-up Keltec, 223 gun, so that he could have that behind his seat in case he got shot down over Kosovo.
all right. Well, anyways, I hope we don't piss anybody off on YouTube about nothing fancy. So,
Yeah, screw 'em.
anyways, but yeah, I just wanted to share that because I thought that was an interesting article, and it's nice to see that some companies are starting to bring some of these, not really retro, but some of these antique guns and making reproductions that people can then go out and use and share the fun with younger generations.
Oh yeah, I saw a thing in a magazine. What the heck one was it? I'm gonna go get it. I have it right over here. But anyways, it was a gun magazine. I picked it up at the airport actually because I ran out of stuff to read, and they were talking about like the original AR stuff, and some companies making like some of those. And I'll find the article here pretty quick, but I thought it was pretty interesting that they're going back and trying to like, basically recreate the original stuff.
Well, okay, so it's great that they're trying to recreate original weaponry and everything. Only if the weaponry is not currently being used. So like redoing World War II guns and stuff, I think is cool. But if you're remaking the original M16, trying to do it to specs versus selling us our current AR-15s, I think it's a bit of a waste personally. If it's still in common build and improved, why go back?
Yeah, I got this right here. So it's Troy Industries. They're building a limited edition XM177E2 for whatever that means. Basically, it's like what the MACV SOG in Vietnam. So the Special Forces people, right? Is that what they are?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what the Special Forces people did to kind of like trick out their guns back in Vietnam. It's kind of cool. They got a bunch of pictures and stuff in here. This is from Guns and Ammo AR-15.
Hold on, Smeggy. I saw this article. So one thing they did was they took the 20-round mags and flipped one upside down and one like this, and then they wrapped electrical tape around them and made it into a high-capacity mag, right?
I don't remember that, but that sounds good.
Mall Ninja Reload.
One of the things that's cool is they actually, well, maybe not. Never mind. Just kidding.
I want to talk about Air Force One.
The new Air Force One or the old one?
Well, supposedly the new one is going to cost $4 billion, right?
Okay.
Obviously the plane has countermeasures, and it has, like it's basically a White House in the air. The average cost after adjusting for inflation of the B-2 stealth bomber is $1.1 billion.
For all of them?
No, per plane. So if I was President Trump and I had to choose between a $4 billion 747 or 757, I think it is now, or a B-2 bomber that can't even be detected, why wouldn't I just ask him to give me one of those and build the White House office where the bomb bay used to be? It doesn't have to be as well protected just because it can't be detected.
And it's a lot faster to get from one place to another.
Is it? I don't know. But I mean, that's all I'm just saying is,
Hold on. I would have to assume that a B-2 bomber that can fly
its endurance is longer, sure.
Its bombs in 24 hours is much faster than an old 747.
Well, no, I think it's a 757, the new one that they're going to build. But the thing is it still costs almost 4 times more than a B-2. I'd rather have the B-2.
It's the customization, baby. I'm sorry.
True.
It's
but it has to be because it can be picked up by radar.
It weighs so much, and it's the stuff that having the reporters on there weighs so much. So it's...
They don't even need to be there anymore. This is the internet age. You can just stream.
You could say, okay, Trump can drive in a row of Corvettes, or he can do a row of limos. Corvettes are faster. They're more maneuverable. You could have like 10 of them, so you wouldn't know which one he's in.
Right, but you're talking about a bulletproof vehicle that everyone can visually see. I'm talking about an aircraft that obviously has a huge radar signature that costs 4 times more than a bomber that can't be detected by radar.
Yeah, but
and again,
the other
when
thing
you
is when he's on the
land on
ground, dude. You got to remember, Air Force One rolls into town. It's almost always a big publicity thing. He's going into other countries,
Sure.
and they stand out there on the airport or on the runway, and so for one, it'd be an
they
image
make them bring
thing.
up the ramp.
If you're gonna fly into some country in an old like military plane, now some people might think that that's good imagery, but I think that's like, oh great, here comes America. Like, the rest of the world already thinks we're a bunch of cowboys and whatever, like always wanting to fight and stuff. So
Buckaroos.
then it gives us kind of like a bad image, like we're run by
Batman
like
if
a
you have a
military or
B2.
something. I don't know. It just
I just think that would be a much more viable option than a $4 billion 757.
Hold on. I would like to share this with everyone.
Uh-oh.
That the White House built the White House and the Oval Office to intimidate dignitaries. And also in the Capitol building, there's a place where they built it in a special way to where you would have dignitaries go over to one side and another set of people go to another side. And the echo, they figured out how to do sound waves so they could listen in on the foreign dignitaries. So Washington was specifically built
There's an echo chamber.
to spy.
You're giving away our secrets. Shush.
Hey, we didn't give
But
away
I
the
saw
nuclear
them on
response
the
time, at
Discovery
least.
Channel. I'm not giving them away.
No,
It's on
that
Wiki-
was
it's on
Bill
Wikipedia.
Clinton.
I don't know. President Trump
Okay,
lands
Obama
in a
got-
B2,
Obama
and the
got
first
the limo.
person says, "Holy shit, he's Batman." They would see that and be like, "That's awesome."
Obama got the really nice Escalade limos.
Yeah,
Trump can get the really nice planes.
sure. I mean, the fleet, the car
He
fleet,
was already
is
on the
for
budget
what,
before he got in, obviously.
8 years?
He
and then
didn't
they change
call
them
for it. I mean, he didn't request this. This was already in the works by Obama, obviously.
Right, and he was like, "I don't want it. That's a waste of money. You guys are way overcharging me."
You see, this might just be
I don't know.
Trump's way of making Boeing bend to give him the plane they already started to design. So, think about this. This is genius. Obama put in the order. Trump comes in, and Boeing has already invested all this money. They've already got the designs down. They've already started the build. They've already started doing all this stuff. And they're expecting from a marketing standpoint to be able to say, oh, we built the new Air Force One. So they're all hyped up. And he comes in and goes, oh, this is a waste of money. You better cut me a deal. And so he might get it at like half off.
I doubt it. This is the bureaucracy of $25,000 toilet seats.
I mean, he might be able to get them to renegotiate.
Remember, in the 90s, it used to be $1 million toilet seats.
Were they?
Yeah, $5 million for a toilet seat, $2 million for a hammer.
Ridiculous.
that's just so that they could fund all the alien research. Come on, don't be.
And now that they've killed all that, we've come to the realization that there is no area. There is an Area 51. It's been shut down because of Obama and Clinton, and that there are no aliens. We're fine now.
No, see, that's just what they want you to think, dude. You've been huffing in the chemtrails too much.
Oh, hold on. Now,
I hardly
if
go
they-
inside.
If they have had alien technology for 50 plus years and they need more money to try to figure it out, I think we need to cut them off.
Of course we have alien technology. How the fuck do you think we got iPads?
Steve Jobs.
No. Star Trek.
Mm.
They had those little touchpad things in Star Trek. I'm talking like
Next Generation.
no. I'm talking fucking 1960s Star Trek.
I guess. Anyways,
William Shatner Star Trek.
I think we're running down to the wire. If anyone has any questions, please, questions or ideas for the show or topics you'd like us to discuss,
Poll.
Please.
Should Donald Trump use a B2 for Air Force One?
please send it to nightstrike1@gmail.com.
yes. I vote yes. It's the
Hey,
Muslim.
Sean, why don't you put a poll up on gun channels? And everyone listening, go to gunchannels.com and there's a bunch of stuff to do. It's not just live shows. That's just what we happen to be on right now. But there's polls and
Audience
questions and
interaction.
answers and trading posts and
Sure.
all sorts of stuff to do. So, Sean, put up a poll and then we'll talk about it later.
Hey, you know what Trump really needs to go around the world in?
What?
A mega yacht that represents America. Biggest one ever.
All right.
Oh, you want him to bring back the Great White Fleet? Boy, that'd be a real stick in the mud for Black Lives Matter, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I think
Kill it, Knight. Just fucking kill it.
on that note, thank you all for listening.
Somebody
This-
had a stone guy tonight.
This was Hit or Miss.